SABC News International Editor Sophie Mokoena is back with us. Sophie, it's been quite a day for you, monitoring developments at the BRICS emergency meeting and that vote, and then monitoring what's been happening in the National Assembly unfolding with regard to this motion that was brought by the EFF. As you watch that, so we've got the practical implications, but what do you think the wider political implications of how this unfolded are going to be?
Well, clearly the world is watching, countries are watching, and of course you have those who are supporting South Africa and Palestine, and therefore we are likely to see this happening in other legislatures around the world, particularly from countries in the south and the countries that are supporting Palestine. On the other hand, in relation to the West, I just saw a message on social media, on X, of President Joe Biden emphasizing that America will continue to support Ukraine and Israel, and pointing out that they will never allow President Putin to be strong and influential and others. And therefore you can see, we may think countries are not watching, even the big ones are watching, because you saw earlier on President Putin making a very powerful statement during the BRICS meeting. And therefore, on the other hand, there's movement in the legislature of South Africa, the biggest house, that is the National Assembly. And you see a unity in terms of those parties that have historical ties. And therefore, the world is watching. And I expect more reaction from the international community, including countries on the continent, because even the continent, you have countries that support Palestine, and you have countries that are egg dancing. And therefore, we are going to see countries that are supporting Palestine in Africa having confidence, and we are likely to see more statements. But in terms of trade relations, when you look at the motion, let's read the motion. Let's read the motion. That amendment was very, very critical. Earlier on, EFF wanted South Africa to suspend all diplomatic relations with Israel. That is paragraph 9. Paragraph 9 now says, call upon the government to close Israel embassy in South Africa until a ceasefire is agreed to by Israel, and that Israel commit to binding United Nations facilitated negotiations whose outcome must be a just, sustainable, and lasting peace. There's nothing about suspending the diplomatic ties. And therefore, it means South Africa is still willing to engage Israel, to try and assist them to find one another with Palestine. And therefore, I think that process is going to continue. And with some people in South Africa, some who are Jews, who said they support the Palestinian cause, but pushing for peaceful resolution, that's where you will find synergy with South Africa to try and find a solution that will be accepted by both parties.
The point you're making, and the point you made right at the outset there, Sophie, around the interconnectedness of international relations in a world that is now multipolar and multilateral, are certainly laid bare, because if you go back to Putin's statements blaming the Middle East crisis on the failure of US diplomacy in the region, he made a series of statements calling for joint efforts of the international community aimed at de-escalating the situation, a ceasefire and so on. And the BRICS states and countries of the region could play a key role in this work, laying bare where some of those fissures in international relations are lying, where these new power blocks are starting to form. And it really is an interesting time. As always, though, it goes back to what does this do for the humanitarian catastrophe that's unfolding before our very eyes in this moment? How much closer does it advance that objective? Thanks for your analysis and your perspective tonight, Sophie. Appreciate it. Sophie Mokoena is our SABC News International Editor.